Hey there, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another series of reviews. This time it is on the Superman movies. Now, recently I did pick up another box set because the one very nice gift from very nice guy RB sent me, it was a 5-disc set, and I realized there was another set which is an 8-disc set, which has even more special features. And this has the 5-disc set of this Blu-ray. If you did, it has the theatrical cut of Superman 1, the theatrical cut of Superman 2, the Superman 3, Superman 4, and Superman Returns. The 3 extra disc in this set is the extended cut of Superman 1, the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, and a disc 8 with a whole bunch of special features. So, being a big fan of these movies, at least most of them, I figure collect both sets. And the thing is, Superman the movie, the first one, without a doubt is one of my all-time favorite superhero movies ever. Even though there is one glaring flaw for me, and that is the ending of Superman 1, despite that, I still really love this movie. Because Superman the movie, directed by Richard Donner, where they took a chance to do a Superman film which I know people call it campy or corny, but to me I call it sincere, I call it magical, especially the first film. And there's a good amount of seriousness. Yeah, there's humor. I mean, you don't have humor with a guy, I'm sorry to bust people's bubble, but when you have a guy, shit. I was going to say, when you have a guy that has a blue suit and a red cape, hate to be a bearer of bad news, but there is going to be humor involved. There just is. And the thing of it is, this film is, like I said, a pretty magical movie. Christopher Reeve does a fantastic job as Superman. And the musical score by John Williams is amazing, it's fantastic. The first movie score is head to toe amazing. I mean, the Superman theme is probably one of the most famous themes in all of film history. And right from the beginning, where you have this kind of interesting way of opening it, of having the curtains pull away, and the comic book, and a kid reading is black and white, then we go to color, and then we have the fun, exciting titles. And then, you know, the S, and the cool looking titles. I mean, they make the titles seem exciting. You know you're in for a treat. And the cast, I mean, you got Marlon Brando as Kal-El, you got Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, you got Glenn Ford as Pa Kent, Margot as Lois Lane, Ned Beatty as Otis, Jackie Cooper as Perry White, Marc McClure as Jimmy Olsen. All the actors play their roles very, very well. I don't think there's a bad actor in the first movie. Of course, you have a small appearance by Terence, who would be much more apparent in the sequel. Because while this was being done, they were filming 2 films at the same time. And Richard Donner filmed the first movie and most of the second film, and they would have finished the second film, but like, you know, we're behind schedule, let's finish the first film, get that released. The Salkinds, you know, whatever story you hear, depending on which version of it you hear, the Salkinds and Richard Donner had creative differences. One of them being that Marlon Brando's footage. Richard Donner wanted it used in Superman 2. The Salkinds did not, because Marlon Brando might have gotten a percentage of the profits of Superman 2, and there's a bunch of other stuff. So they brought in Richard Lester for Superman 2, but I'll wait for that in the next video. But Superman the movie, I know people complain about the pacing of the film. The pacing of the first Superman does not bother me at all. You even watch it again, whether it be the theatrical or the extended cut. I guess there's a 3-hour cut, but that's nowhere to be found on this Blu-ray. Maybe it's like a TV cut. I don't know. I don't know if that's anywhere online to watch. If so, I have no idea. Again, I don't know anything. Someone had told me there's a 3-hour cut. I have no idea about it. Just what I've heard. But I love the look of Krypton. I love the effects used in those scenes. I think for 1978 they hold up fairly well considering the time it was made. I know people look at it and laugh or chuckle. I don't. I am impressed by what they were able to accomplish at that time and day. The crystal fortresses all over Krypton. I love the look of it. I love the look of the suits that are like bright white. Even the little like hula hoop thing that's like a prison for our 3 evil Kryptonians. I thought Richard Donner, who would go on to do, of course, Lethal Weapon, The Goonies. This is definitely one of Richard Donner's best films. Like I said, this is easily one of John Williams' best musical scores. Not only the Superman theme, but even when you first see Krypton, that that's, to me, just as memorable. Again, the whole score is fantastic. I love the look of Krypton, like I said. And when everything starts going up shit creek, it's actually very sad, and it's kind of creepy when you watch it again, because you see all these people just falling to their deaths and screaming out their lungs and falling, like wide shots where you see hundreds of people falling to their deaths. Like they're screaming bloody murder, and then this cut to the outside planet of Krypton, and it's like silence for a second, which makes it even more creepier, and then it blows up. I really did sense of the tragedy of the death of Krypton. Again, to me, even when I was a kid watching it today, both times, I mean, it still comes off as rather creepy. I love the stuff when he's a kid, because it's a good looking film, cinematography, some really beautiful looking shots. I thought the parents, a mom, pa, Kent, were that old-fashioned America, apple pie. Like, you could tell why Superman became a good person just from the vibe of these two people. And Glenn Ford's not in the film a lot, but the little bit that he is, and when he's talking to Clark, you are here for a reason. That's a lot better than Man of Steel, when Kevin Costner's like, I don't know, should he have saved those people on the bus? Maybe not. Maybe he should have let them die. Nope. Talk to the hand, Clark. You can't save you for a tornado, even though you can, because you're faster than a speeding bullet. I mean, this is definitely better than that Man of Steel bullshit. Well, why do you compare it? Both are Superman movies where Pa Kent dies. One, Kevin Costner dies like an idiot. Here, it's tragic, because Glenn Ford's out there alone. He's like, oh man, and it's a heart attack. And it makes sense. Superman has a lot of powers, but he can't stop a heart attack. And he even says all those powers, and I couldn't save him. I thought that kind of sweet, yet tragic, yet made sense. Didn't seem dumb or idiotic. It was heartfelt. And like the big shots of the farm in Smallville, especially when he tells his mom that he's got to go north, and the sweeping camera around the wide open space of the farm. I don't know, it just screams movie magic. That's what Superman the movie makes me think of, movie magic that they don't do nowadays. Because you can't take your time with a movie. I think directors nowadays are not as artistically interesting as they were back then. And yeah, I'm a sucker for action, but if you do it well, I also appreciate that. Whether it be 127 Hours, or The Shawshank Redemption, or 2001 Space Odyssey, or Superman the movie. And there's little stuff I enjoy, like when he's a teen and he hits the football in outer space, which then they retry that in Superman 4 with hitting a baseball into space. Gene Hackman is a lot of fun as Lex Luthor. I thought he really relished his role, but I know people say it's campy. To me, it's just fun and entertaining. You get your kids out threatening the deaths of millions of people? No, by causing the deaths of millions of people. I thought Gene Hackman just pulled that off very efficiently, very well. Like, he was evil, but you kind of like him. But I love Gene Hackman as an actor ever since I saw him in Uncommon Valor, yeah, Narrow Margin, various other roles. Gene Hackman's just great in it. The French Connection too, let alone the first one. I mean, that's a bit of an underrated sequel. But I thought Christopher Reeve, again, they got lightning in a bottle when they cast him. Because as Clark Kent, you bought him fumbling and being nerdy, and you kind of buy why people would not think he's Superman because of the way his hair is down, and the glasses, and the way he acts. Again, you can kind of buy why people would not think he was Superman. But then when he's Superman, he was genuine, and when he could say a line like, "I fight for truth and justice and the American way," you buy it because of the way Christopher Reeve acts it out. Like, it's a silly thing to say, but you buy it from Christopher Reeve. You just buy it hook, line, and sinker. And then the flying scenes, for the time, 1978, they worked rather well. Margot Kidder, I thought she was spunky as Lois Lane. She wasn't, ooh, I broke a nail, dead weight, or a bimbo. Lois Lane, I thought, yeah, she needed save, but she still felt like a strong character. Other supporting characters, like again, Jackie Cooper as Perry White, Marc McClure as Jimmy Olsen, they worked fine. Ned Beatty was fun as Otis, the sort of sidekick to Lex Luthor. I always remember when Gene Hackman is showing the map to Superman, and after he wants land, and he wants to hit a missile and fuck up California and have more land, and he's naming all the places, and another thing's written there, and he's like, Otisburg. Otisburg? It's just a little place. Otisburg? Or earlier when Ned Beatty was supposed to do this thing, and he wrote these things on his arm. And Gene Hackman's like, Otis, not that I trust you, but actually I don't trust you. What exactly did you do? And the last one, I forget the number, but it was like 117. You said the last one was 117? There was one with 11, and then that one after that was 7. Well, I didn't have a long enough arm. You want to see a long arm, Otis? Would you like to see a long arm? And I think because Gene Hackman he doesn't do comedy a lot, but he did pull that off well without it seeming hokey or phony or fake. And yeah, would I like more action? Sure, but I thought for an origin movie, I was enjoying the spectacle, the magic, the build-up of Superman's story. I thought it was told very effortlessly in this flick. Again, the beginning of Krypton with Marlon Brando, the destruction of Krypton, being on the farm. That's why I don't see you should ever do it again, because to me, it's done the best in this movie. And then him stopping small crimes, like the robber, and he catches him and shows the jewels to the cop. Or these other people, they get on a boat and Superman's there and they try to hit him and it does nothing. Yeah, it would have been nice to see a couple more action scenes, like maybe an action scene involving he stops it with his super breath, and an action scene with his heat vision, and maybe some stuff he could actually punch. But for a first film, it didn't bother me as much as maybe other people. And I thought the love story worked very well between Lois and Superman. I thought scenes like when he's saving the helicopter, a lot of practical work went into that. When you watch it again, it does marvel you, like, wow, it really like a helicopter was out of control, and it looks like a guy's lifting the helicopter. And this is a film I remember seeing many times ever since I was a kid, to the point even random lines like, "Man, that's a bad suit," or not just lines, but certain just little scenes, even to the point that Superman, yes, people don't like the fact that he is a Boy Scout, but that is Superman. And the way Christopher Reeve plays it, and the way it's done, to the point he even goes out to rescue a cat from a tree, I'm like, that made sense in the fact that that's the spirit of Superman. If you don't like it, then you don't like Superman. That's just the thing. If you're under it, fine, but if you're into Superman, that's the spirit of Superman. It's not Batman Part 2, which Man of Steel and them tried to be, which to me didn't make any damn sense, because if people want Batman, they'll watch Batman. If they want the Punisher, they'll watch the Punisher. They want Super Punisher. But that's just me. And he does rescue with when California, the old earthquake stuff's happening, and he puts the train tracks and lets the train go by, and he gets the bus when it's almost ready to crash to the ocean. The stuff with the dam and stopping the water from destroying this town. Even when Lois Lane dies, Christopher Reeve does a really rock solid performance of agony and screaming and anger. Sorry. The one issue I have with this film, which I guess was their intention for Superman 2, but then they thought they'd put it in this film, which was a big mistake. Whoever thought of that idea should be fired. Turning around the world. That's the one big flaw I have with this film. I do not like that. Even as a kid, I did not like it because I thought it was retcon horseshit. I thought it was a lame, easy way out. And what it does, it just makes you go, well, wait a minute. Why doesn't Superman do that all the time? Why doesn't Superman just, something happens, he just go back in time and fix it? Sorry about that. Like, that annoys the piss out of me. I'm sure there are other ways to write around it. Don't kill Lois at all. Granted, you would lose the cool emotional bit with Superman being upset, but... Or have it be like his Ma Kent and Lois, and he has to save one, so he saves Lois, but Ma Kent dies, and then he goes off and he's going to kill Luthor, but he doesn't because of his sense of morals. And maybe we could have it shoot a scene where Ma Kent is a flashback where they're talking about morals. I don't know, something, anything. But there are better ways than just going around the world. Because again, it's like, well, anything in the future, why doesn't he just go around again? Which is one of the reasons I do not like the Richard Donner cut. Which, I'm sorry, folks. That's going to be a rant. I've never liked the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. I much prefer the theatrical cut. One of the reasons, well, he died. No, I'm not talking about what could have been. I'm talking about what's there on the screen. Talk about what's there on the screen, and it's, I don't really like that going around the world again. Like the one thing I didn't like is Superman. You redo for Superman 2. And I'm, even though the kiss is stupid, that more tolerable to me than going around the world. People are like, well, why you have such a big problem? Like I said, any problem in the future, he just go around the world and time travel. Why doesn't he do that? Plus, even within the movie, it doesn't make sense. But it's a Superman movie. But even for a Superman movie, he goes around the world, right? Someone explain this to me. He goes around the world. So Lois is now not only alive, but the ground doesn't fall apart. And also the dam is fixed. Nothing else. So if he went back, if that stuff didn't happen, that means the earthquake didn't happen. But Jimmy Olsen is in the desert because Superman saved him. And Jimmy Olsen's like, you left me in the middle of the desert. So it did happen, but it didn't. And same with, okay, the earthquake didn't happen because otherwise the road would be caving in and Lois would be dying. But Lois is talking about, I had all these telephone poles exploding around me. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? Is there the second Superman going around saving everybody and stopping the earthquakes? Like, it's this time travel, but the time travel only affected a dam and the road. So it's not even time travel. It's literally, I rebuilt the road, I gave Lois life, and the dam is fixed. But everything else is how I saved it before. That's, even as a kid, I was confused, and now I'm just annoyed. It's just a really stupid way, and again, for a film I love, if they fix that one aspect, okay, like I said before, just have it where Ma Kent is a bit more prevalent. She's come to Metropolis. She, or something else. She wants to meet the woman that's working with her son. She dies. You just have Superman. Or there's other ways you write it. And then be perfect. I think that's what, for me personally, it's that close to being perfection. It's a very glaring flaw. And you gotta put the blame on Richard Donner too. Because they signed off on it. And it would have been a stupid notion to put in Superman 2 either. Whoever came up with the idea is dumb. And I don't think that was just the Salkinds. You gotta blame Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz as well. I'm going hard on that because that's the one flaw for me. Because the rest of it, I love the ending which they do in all the 4 Christopher Reeve Superman films, even Superman Returns, where the Superman goes off, across the stem of the earth, looks towards camera and flies off with the great music playing, which is like victorious, uplifting music. When you listen to the Superman theme, it just makes you happy and smile. And like I said, I love the movie magic. It's a beautiful looking film. You tell a budget was behind it. The effects for the time, I think, worked very well. The cast. Christopher Reeve, top-notch performance. There's a reason why so many people, including myself, always think of him as Superman, because he really left an impression that I don't know if anyone can ever surpass. I really don't. And overall, it's a fantastic movie. It's, again, that one glaring flaw at the end. But that shows how much I love the film, is that even though that would be something that would destroy other films, in my opinion, I could live with. It's one of those things that I grit my teeth. I'm like, okay, he went around the world, somehow it just fits these 3 things, but everything else... Granted, you just say, well, time travel doesn't exist, so who knows how the hell it can work, so maybe you got me there, but... I think there's... It just makes me, why does he do that with everything? And no matter what happens. I just don't understand. But again, that's just me. It's like, okay, 30 minutes into Superman 2, why did it be like, stop here? Or the fight in Superman 2. I'm not going to fight these guys. Oh, you're in the glass again. But with your Donner cut, they wait till the end. Anyway. With that said, Superman the movie, to me, is a classic. I mean, again, from the opening titles and the reveal of Krypton as the camera's going through the stars and the reveal of the sun of Krypton and the actual Krypton planet and through the ice palaces of Krypton. And I love that ice palace look. Made it unique. And then you compare it to the scenes of Smallville, which reminds me of when I lived on a farm back when I was a kid. And then the streets of Metropolis. And again, there's some darkness in it as well. Like I said, the scene where Lois dies, when Ned Beatty's being followed by the cop, and the cop's on the subway train, and Luthor just pushes the wall so the cop gets run over. And again, there's some serious stuff in as well. Like I said, all the death of the Kryptons, they're screaming for their lives, and then cut to the planet, and it's like silence. It's like eerie. And it was adventurous, and Superman was so heroic, and someone you could believe in. Even though even the poster with the S and the streak of red and blue, and the way the Superman costume looks. I mean, for Superman, I didn't grow up reading the comics. I'll be honest. I grew up watching the first 3 movies, and because the 4th one, even as a kid, I didn't like it. And the Fleischer Superman cartoons. So those are the Superman that I grew up with. And this in particular is my favorite Superman film. It's one of my top favorite superhero films. Just anytime I watch it, I get that sense of... I keep saying movie magic because that's something you don't see nowadays. And it's something that's hard to describe, but it's just something you feel. And I know there are people who don't like it and think it's cheesy. I think they're missing out, but to each their own. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. And next time I will talk about Superman 2. See you guys later.